Welcome back to another woodland episode. I'm here in the woods with Amber. And today I'm going to be making a few improvements to the Viking house. I might cook up some food and I might start building another shelter in another part of the woodland. So for today's fire lighting, I'm looking for some dead ash, some dead fallen ash like this. And you can see that there is a fungus. It's called a cramp ball fungus, or Daldinia concentrica. These are great for fire lighting. And then here's a few more. Here's another smaller one. And this is more like what we're after. That there is great for fire lighting. Once again, cramp balls or King Alfred cakes or Daldinia concentrica. So while I'm here, I might as well make use of this. This is wild garlic. I might pick some of this and use it for a bit of cooking later on. So one of the first things I always do when I come to camp is gather materials for a fire. I've already collected the cramp balls, those King Alfred cakes, the black fungus that grow on dead or struggling ash trees. They're in my pocket. Now I need a tinder bundle. I'm going to use a bit of this leftover cedar bark, which there's plenty of lying around here, around this shelter and around the woodland itself. So what I normally do is I just break it in half like this a few times, and this softens up the fibres. There's another way of doing this. And that just breaks away the outer bark in lots of different places. Now it's a matter of just peeling away the outer bark, revealing the inner fibres. And it's these thin, fine inner fibres. This is what we want. This is what's going to be great for our tinder bundle. There we are. There's a few more fibres attached to that bit. I now just scrunch this up. And you can see all these fibres, as I rub them together quite aggressively, they all fall apart, fall away from each other, and begin to form a nice tinder bundle. And just to show you again, it's all about separating those inner fibres from the outer bark. So as much as I absolutely adore this Viking shelter, it's taken a long time to build, a lot of hard work, myself and Mike's dad Graham. It's been a great experience. The fun is not yet over. We're yet to do many more camps right here in the Viking shelter. But what I think I might do is start another shelter elsewhere in this woodland. Somewhere away from these cedar trees, in amongst the pine trees, where it's really dense. So I'm thinking about somewhere maybe I could build a couple of lean-tos, maybe different style lean-to shelters, maybe a giant parachute covering the whole area. Big fire pit in the middle, lots of logs around the fire pit to sit on. Yeah. So once again, the Viking shelter, it's been awesome. It's not yet over. So keep an eye out, there's going to be many more videos of myself and Mike as well, overnighters here, having a right laugh. We might even get a bottle of mead, who knows. But until then, I'm going to grab my tinder bundle, this tinder bundle, and I think we'll head over to the new woodland, which is maybe a 10-minute walk that way. You know what, there's a lake near there as well. Okay, it might be a pond, it's not the biggest of lakes. That's where I'm going to begin building another area, another camp area, another shelter. So this is the location where I think I'll be building the next camp. You can see it's slightly overgrown, it's quite dense. There's lots of these low-lying branches that we call eye pokers. I might take my saw out, cut a few of those away. And over here behind me is a lovely area, a lovely clearing, where I think I'll be able to suspend a parachute build a few lean-to shelters, and this will be the beginning of the next project, the next bushcraft camp. Will it have a name? I don't know, maybe one day. But until then, I think I'll just start with getting a fire going. Remember, I've got my cramp balls, I've got my tinder bundle, my cedar bark. I think I'll clear the area in the middle and get a little fire going. Oh well, looks like Amber's doing it for me. I've cleared quite a large patch. There's lots of dead, dried leaves on the ground. The last thing I want is for this little fire that I'm about to build to spread. Safety first. So I've dragged a few of these logs over. I think for now, we'll just call this the fire pit. Over the next few weeks, I might move the fire slightly this way. I'm not too sure, but for now, I'm sure this will be fine for a fire pit. So what I've just been doing is sorting through my kindling, starting from small, working my way up to large, and then I've got a pile of bits and pieces that once the fire is going, I can just throw that on, at which point I'll be then finding larger wood to place on top of the fire. So for today's fire lighting, you might be wondering, what is he going to use? I love a bit of fire lighting, I love using lots of different methods, but one method I haven't used in quite a while is this. This is a fire piston. So the way these work is by compressing air. And if you think about having a flat tire on your bike, what you do is you get out the pump and you pump up your flat tire. Well, as you use the pump, if you've ever noticed on the end of the pump, that metal nozzle that gets really hot, that's because when air is compressed rapidly, it heats up. Now, if I use some of this tinder, so remember I collected some of this cramp ball earlier, the cramp ball fungus, this is great stuff. And if I break it open, you'll see it's got these silvery lines or these silvery rings inside it. These are great for fire lighting. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of this, just break off a small chunk, like this, and then I'll insert it into the end of this fire piston. So what you need to keep in mind is that when air is rapidly compressed, it heats up. I'm now going to place this over there. There's a rubber washer on the end of this rod, which traps the air. So the rapid compression, as I slam it down, the air will become trapped and hopefully heat up enough to ignite our tinder, being our fungus, right in the moment of heat. And there you can see we've got a little glowing ember. If I take another piece of this cramp ball, now this is glowing, smouldering nicely, I can put this away. In fact, I'll just place it down onto the ground. So yeah, I've just held another piece of this fungus to it, and it's now starting to get quite hot. So just to help me out, what I'll do is I'll take a bit more of the other pieces of fungus and I'm going to stick all of this into my tinder bundle. So this is that tinder bundle, that cedar bark tinder bundle that I collected earlier. We've got a nice glowing ember here, once again. So just to recap, the way this works, while the fire pistons, when air is compressed rapidly, it heats up. You know what? These have been around, the fire pistons that is, they've been around for about 2,500 years, originating from Southeast Asia. So I'm now going to take my tinder bundle, I'll just open it up a little bit, and then place my smouldering ember into the tinder bundle. I'll take some more fungus, maybe I'll just crumble a little bit over the top, like that. Maybe I'll just take a little bit more like that. You know what? I've got a whole one left, small one. I'll keep that for later or maybe another day. So the more I blow, the more this ember will spread onto the other pieces of fungus. Fingers crossed, hopefully in a minute or so we'll end up with a flame. I'll then drop it down on the ground. I've got my pre-prepared kindling sticks, which I'll then place onto my flame. The good thing is I've got the wind coming from this direction, which means I'm not holding it like this, getting smoked out every time I take a breath of fresh air. What you'll notice now is the nearer we get to the flame, the thicker, darker, browner the smoke will become. Right now it's quite a thin, light grey smoke. Shortly it'll become very thick, dark brown. That's when we'll be seconds away from a flame. I can feel it's really getting hot now. And there we are, there's a flame. I'll just roll it just to help it a bit. And there we have it. That is fire by using a fire piston. Remember, these are fire by compressing air. One of these. If you want to know where I got this, check out the link below. Or check out bushcrafttools.com. So one more thing about these fire pistons. These actually come with tinder. So they come with their own built-in charred cloth compartment, and they come pre-filled with charred cloth as well. So just to show you again, this is the rubber washer. As that's inserted, it traps the air, and the air's got nowhere to go apart from spring back. I mentioned the charred cloth. As you can see, if I unscrew this, these come pre-filled with charred cloth. Charred cloth, I'm sure you know how to make charred cloth. If not, have a quick look on YouTube. It's easy to make. I use the fungus. In this country, there's loads of these crampable funguses, and they're great for fire lighting. So the other end comes with a bit of lubricant. This is Vaseline. You know, this Vaseline actually goes onto the rubber washer. Like this. It helps lubricate the inside of the barrel, creating a seal. You might be wondering, well, how did they make these 2,500 years ago? The short story is, this would have been bamboo or a hardwood hollowed out. This rubber washer, they wouldn't have had rubber back then. Well, they might have actually. Rubber trees, Asia, possibly. Well, It's believed that this would have been a groove cut with a sharp tool, possibly some flint or a knife or something. An animal hair or something cordage, some braid twisted together, tucked into a groove to create a seal. Now the lubricant, this is Vaseline. Back in the day, this could well have been animal fat. So once again, bamboo, some sort of braid or some cordage tucked into a groove, and animal fat as a lubricant. Fire by compressing air. These are great fun. I love these. While we're on the subject of fire pistons, there's always a plan B. So these have got built-in plan B. What do I mean by a plan B? Well, if you unscrew this, I'm sure you know what this is. Using a sharp piece of steel or the back of your knife or even a piece of flint or broken glass, scrape along it and you can produce a shower of hot sparks. This is a ferrocium rod, ferro rod or a fire steel, whichever you want to call it. And that's it, the fire piston. Now it's time to cook up a bit of food. So if you're not too sure what it is I'm doing here, well, this will be the new location for my woodland camp. So over the next few episodes, you'll see this area develop and turn right into a lovely bushcraft camp. And I'm sure we're going to be cooking up some good food down here. Nothing complicated, little grill, potatoes and some chicken wings. Primrose. Nothing wrong with a bit of wild food. So for those people that keep pestering me saying you need to bring out merch, well, what do? I like to think I cook good in the woods. So I decided to bring out my sort of merch, which is a titanium spork. As you can see there, it says cooking good in the woods. And then bushcraft tools on the back. What am I going to do with this? Well, I might as well make use of it. I'm going to use it to turn my chicken. So there we are, another way you can just use something very simple, an everyday item that you take with you, whether it's in your lunchbox for school or whether it's your packed lunch for work. Hey, come on, it's a spork at the end of the day, and just trying to use something slightly different. Today's chicken turner. Hey, link in the bio. So before I left home, I put some chicken wings in this bag. I added a bit of marinade. By the way, one of you guys sent me a really big tub of barbecue seasoning. Thank you very much. All the way from the States. And I put some of that in here. Also put a little bit of olive oil. And then I thought I'd squeeze half a lime over the top. This has now been in the bag for maybe 4 hours. Time to cook it up. So the chicken wings, almost cooked. Potatoes are boiled. Now it's time to get rid of the water. So one of my favourite things with potatoes is throwing in a good knob of butter, like this. And what I normally do is I'll take a stock cube. I think because I've only got a small portion of potatoes, I'll use half a stock cube and I'll put that in as well. Now I'll take some of my wild garlic. I'll just fold it over, slice through the fold, and then just cut. You don't want to use too much of this because it is quite strong. I'll put some of this in, like so. I was going to put some wild chives and some wild nettles, but you know what? I think I'll just leave it at that. And then I'll just give it a stir. Remember, the butter's in there, the stock cube's in there, and I'm now trying to get the stock cube and the butter to the bottom of the pan, or the billy can. Here we are, so now it's at the bottom. I'm going to put the lid back on, and I'm going to just put this over the coals for a couple of minutes. And now they're looking really good. So I'm just going to sterilize this spork. By doing that, what I'm going to do is just remove this grill, place it over there, and then just heat up my titanium spork over this, and I can see already it's probably gonna be hot enough. It's probably killed off all that bacteria that you get with the raw chicken. And there we are. Spork sterilized. Now I can use this to eat my potatoes. The butter and the chicken stock, it really turns these what would be otherwise quite bland, quite plain potatoes, it takes them to another level. Now that has some serious flavour along with the wild garlic. Wow. And this chicken, let's give it a try. Oh. So that barbecue seasoning that I was sent by one of you guys, thank you very much. That's so tasty. Chicken wings, they're cheap, but they're tasty. I love chicken wings. And this is the first meal, the first mini feast in the new Woodland Camp. So I just want to say, if you've watched this video all the way to the end, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you didn't already know, I do a few live streams. So to be involved, to get notified, well, if you want to join the chat, ask me a question live, watch me build this shelter, make sure you've hit the notification button, because that way you'll be notified when I'm live. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.